Brandon Bonifer back with On Focus. We're going to give you an election breakdown district by district and tell you how the election results came out tonight. First off, we're going to compare District 1. During the primaries, we had a total 118 votes that came out. McManus got 45 of those votes in District 1 and Witzel earned 35. So during the primaries, McManus won District 1. What happened tonight, Brett?
Well, in District 1, we have Bob McManus with a total of 80 votes, and Witzel had 75, so very close.
It was very close, and it looks like more of the votes from Spiros went to McManus in District 1. Jumping down to District 2, we had a total of 137 votes that came out in the primaries. Bob earned the least amount of votes in District 2. He earned 33 votes, and Witzel dominated this area, as we mentioned earlier tonight, with 60 votes. What happened tonight, Brett?
Well, looks like Witzel took this district again with 121 to Bob McManus, 108. So out of the 229, a vast majority to Witzel.
So it does look like, though, that McManus was able to kind of shrink in the gap a little bit compared to the primaries. Jumping over to District 3, this is basically McManus's backyard. During the primaries, we had 324 votes, and Bob McManus earned 152 of those, and Witzel earned 100. Now, tonight we knew that over 200 more we learned tonight over 200 more people came out to vote. What did those numbers show us by District 3 here tonight?
More of the same. This one was a definite landslide in favor of Bob McManus. 349 to 188 for Witzel, so he won his home district, if you will.
Yeah, and this was the district that actually had 47% voter turnout. That's huge. That hasn't happened in Marshfield, I don't think, ever. Looking back at some of the numbers, even during presidential elections, we never had 47% voter turnout in District 3. It's always been a district that's had a lot of numbers, but not like this. Jumping down this District 4, this is another district that had over 200 more people that came out and voted tonight. In the primaries, McManus won this over Witzel 91 to 67. How did that look tonight?
Well, it was about 90 vote difference in favor of Bob McManus, 253 to 164. So another, good job campaigning for McManus.
So 3 and 4 was really some two areas that McManus really kind of took it home on this election here tonight. Jumping down to District 5. Now, District 5 is a smaller district compared to 3 and 4. We had 163 people that came out and voted during the primaries. And in that vote, it was pretty much neck and neck. Spiros actually won this district during the primaries with 57 votes. At that time, Witzel came in second place with 55, and McManus came in with 51. So you would think during the primaries, District 5 would have went to Witzel with Spiros out of the race. What happened tonight?
It did go to Witzel, about a 10 vote difference, 114 to 94. So pretty close. Yeah.
So as you were seeing some comparisons and some trends taking place, what happened in a prior election during the primary versus what can happen out in the actual general election here. Okay, looking at District 6. Now, District 6, Witzel's the alderman of District 6, is that correct?
That's correct.
So during the primary election, District 6 went to Witzel by a huge landslide, in my opinion. He won pretty fair and square. He had 60 votes, Spiros had 39, McManus had 45. So I would imagine back then in the primaries, we had 144 people that came out. Tonight we had an additional 100 votes that came in from voters in the election. So I would hope and think that Witzel would basically have carried his strength in District 6. How did it look tonight?
Well, it was a very tight one, but the real story is he actually ended up losing by 3 votes in his own district. So his total was 119 to Bob McManus's 122.
Really? That is interesting. That is interesting in itself. I wondered what those additional 100 people thought and came out. I know there's a lot of things shaping up in some of the different districts here in Marshfield, and there's a lot of things that we need to take care of in our own backyards, that's for sure. And that's important to know. You look at McManus in his district, or an area that his backyard is, he dominated that area, and this is definitely one area that Witzel could not afford to lose this, and to lose that just it sends a shockwave through the community on what maybe Witzel's campaign strategy was. We've seen him on social media over the weekend putting out some different stuff. We hadn't seen a lot from him over the last few weeks, but over the weekend he definitely came to social media with some comments. I don't think it brought a lot of attention, and he got a last-minute endorsement from Chris Meyer. I don't know. I can't really make sense of it, but maybe that had some influence. We look at this election, we look at the number of people that came out. Chris Meyer's been a mayor for 10 years, and let's be honest, the reason we have so many people that are out here tonight, you have to think and have to wonder, they came out tonight to vote. They voted for change. They voted for something different. And when a last minute endorsement like that, you have to wonder if that didn't play against Witzel a little bit.
Honestly, if you were to ask me, I think it would be a case of too little too late.
Yeah.
I think if that endorsement was going to come, it should have probably come a few weeks ago rather than a night or two before the election.
Absolutely, absolutely. So looking at District 7, District 7, this was another big district. We had 213 people that came out during the primaries, and over 200 more people came out. So that was almost a double turnout. During the primaries, this is the area that Witzel won again, 78 votes to 76. So pretty close, but he still won. How did that look tonight with additional 200 voters?
About the same, very close, within 20 votes. In favor of Bob McManus, actually this time though, with Witzel getting 196 to Bob McManus 215.
Now this was also the same district that had a contested alderman position. Jason Zaleski was up against another Dave Peterson for this seat. So you have to think that there was some additional campaigning that went into this district that brought out those additional voters. But obviously McManus didn't really fare too far ahead, and neither did Witzel as far as picking up those votes. And just so you guys know, Jason did hold his seat. He's going to continue to be our alderman for District 7. So jumping over to District 8. Now, District 8 is Rebecca Spiros' home turf. And in the primaries, she won this area very clear, very fair. There was a total of 178 people that went out to vote. We had over 325 that came out tonight. But during the primaries, Witzel and Bob were pretty much neck and neck. Bob had 52 and Witzel had 57. What do we have tonight?
Well, in District 8, we have over a 20-point gap in favor of Bob McManus. So the totals in that district were 151 to 175. So I think a lot of those votes going to Rebecca since went to Bob McManus.
And that is something that we really brought up earlier in our conversation, is tonight two things were to come out. Is who was the electoral? What did they come out? What did they have to vote for? What was their age gaps? Those are all questions we have, but also we want to know, where did all the people turn to when they turned from Rebecca Spiros to a candidate? And here tonight we definitely saw that a lot of Rebecca's votes went to Bob. And that's definitely seen in her home backyard in District 8. District 9 ward, this is one that had 107 votes. We increased by another 100 votes or so more here with District 9. Witzel, he had 44 votes in the primary. Bob actually really underperformed. He was down almost 50% with only 26 votes. So you'd have to think that he'd be down 50% in District 9 for tonight. How did it look?
Not quite 50%, but he did end up losing that district with a little over 200 votes coming in. Witzel getting the 123 to Bob's 85.
So he had about a 50-point spread. And during the primary, he had about a 30-point spread. So he gained a little traction, but not enough to carry him in the overall election. The last district here in Marshfield is District 10. This district had 134 votes. This is another district that really Witzel won by a landslide in the primary election. He had 52 and McManus had 36. Tonight we had over almost another 100 votes that came out. What did it look like in the exit polls as far as how it broken down?
Well, for that district, it looked like another close race. 114 for Witzel and 94 for Bob McManus.
Really? So even in this area with additional voters, McManus really kind of came and closed the gap a little bit. So looking at total numbers, we had a total of 1,691 votes that went to Bob to respectful 1,440. So that's about 250-point spread as far as elections go here in Marshfield. So that's a breakdown that we gave you by district by district. These are numbers that if you're ever running for office, you're going to want to understand, especially if there's a primary race. It gives you a real opportunity to see what areas you need to do a little more work and homework in. And I think it's pretty clear. We saw that Bob actually took the time and got out there and really made some ground and covered some distance as far as this election went. I'm Brandon Bonhoeffer, and that's a little bit of update on the election here in Marshfield. Stay with us, so we'll be covering more here in the future.